What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sick Eric Tech, and today we're going to be doing a spec comparison between the Moto Edge 30 Fusion and the Google Pixel 7a. We're going to be comparing the specs side by side, along with some photos and video taken on both of these guys, just to see the differences between these two devices. They're roughly about the same price, and they're both pretty premium. I think the Motorola coming in a little bit more premium feeling than the Google Pixel 7. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we do, consider subscribing and clicking that bell icon. That way you get notified on future videos here on the channel. So let's go ahead and dive down into it. Motorola Edge 30 Fusion. It weighs about 5.93 ounces. So it is a fairly light device. You get Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, and you get a vegan leather design on the back, which is sort of a silicone vegan leather. Feels really good in the hands, adds some extra grip on there. And as you can see, very nice design on the Motorola Edge with the camera design. I love this red color. This is the Viva Magenta color on here. You get a nice aluminum frame going along the edges. The buttons are actually in a nice spot. You get a textured power button along with your volume rocker up top. You get your bottom firing speaker, your SIM tray, and your charger port with some microphones down there. You get your Dolby Atmos branding on the top with another microphone. Going on over to the left side, you get nothing on the back. You get your Motorola branding right there in the middle, along with your cameras and the Pantone Viva Magenta stamp on the bottom. So a very nice design. You get curved edges on here along with the curved back, so this device feels really nice and thin in the hand, and it just feels absolutely phenomenal. Your fingerprint sensor is going to be a little bit lower than I would prefer on here, but it actually works really well. You also get facial recognition too if you want to unlock your device with that as well. So that is a nice feature for the Motorola Edge 30 Fusion. It is only splash and dust resistance, no IP rating on here as well, so that is a bummer. Going on over to the Pixel 7a, as far as the weight goes, it comes in about 6.84 ounces, so a little bit heavier over here on the Pixel, considering that it is a little bit of a chunkier device, a little bit thicker as well. And you get Corning Gorilla Glass 3 on the front with an aluminum frame and a plastic back. So everything on the back, is including the camera visor, is going to be plastic, while the frame gives it more of a premium feel, that cold to the touch, you know, in the hand touch with the frame. But it will scratch up a lot. Of course, you might get some scratches all along the edges just by setting this on a flat surface. And it is IP67 dust and water resistant, so you get a little bit more protection. Going on over to the buttons, you get your switched on over buttons over here. So the power is going to be up top, volume at the bottom. Very annoying and takes some getting used to, but eventually you get it as far as the power button. And then at the bottom, you get your bottom firing speaker along with your USB Type-C. Going on over to the side, you get your SIM tray and your microphone up top. No microphone, it's just going to be down here at the bottom. Going on over to the back, you get your dual camera setup with the visor, your flash, Google logo smack dab in the middle, and nothing on the left hand side other than that SIM tray. So as far as build quality goes, I'm giving that to the Motorola just because it feels more premium in the hand, and it just looks really good compared to the Google Pixel, which it does look fine, and it's their updated design, so it does match all their other Pixels. But the Motorola Edge just comes in nicer colors, this vegan leather, and this red is absolutely gorgeous. More premium materials over here on the Motorola with that higher Gorilla Glass compared to just Gorilla Glass 3. You get Gorilla Glass 5, and but the Pixel does have that IP67 dust and water resistance, so it is a little bit more durable and more protected when it comes down to water. Going on over to the display, so the Motorola Edge does come with a PLED display. It has all the 1 billion colors on there, 144 Hertz, supports HDR10 plus, and it gets about 1100 nits peak brightness, 6.55 inches of goodness, and about a 90.8% screen to body ratio. So the bezels on here are actually quite thin on here, and it is curved like I mentioned earlier. Covered in Corning Gorilla Glass 5, has a resolution of 1080 by 2400 with 402 pixels per inch. And going on over to the Pixel 7a, you get a 6.1-inch OLED, which only supports HDR. It is a 90 Hz refresh rate, and it is 81.8% screen to body ratio on the Pixel. So the bezel's a bit more chunky over here on the Pixel, and you definitely notice that they are some chunky bezels on there. It is 1080 by 2400 with 429 pixels per inch, and like I said earlier, covered in Corning Gorilla Glass 3. You get always on display on the Pixel, while on the Motorola you get their peak display, which if you move it, the clock will show up and you get to interact with your notifications. A little bit more customizable on the Motorola compared to the Pixel. You get your in-display fingerprint sensor on the Pixel as well, and it actually works quite well. You also get facial recognition on here, which is actually pretty quick, and the fingerprint sensor is actually in a better spot on the Pixel compared to the Motorola, to where it is a lot lower on the Motorola compared to the Pixel, and definitely more easier to use on the Pixel as well. Now both of these devices are running Android 13. The Motorola Edge just got bumped up to Android 13 about a week ago, so that's awesome. The Motorola Edge is running the Snapdragon 888 Plus over here with 12 gigabytes of RAM, and you get the Adreno 660 GPU and 256 gigabytes of non-expandable storage on the Motorola Edge 30 UFS 3.1. Going on over to the Pixel, you're running Android 13 as well, upgradable to the Android 14 beta as well if you want to do that. You're getting the Google Tensor chip generation 2 on the Pixel, and as far as the GPU goes, you're getting the Mali G710 MP7 GPU. So it is built by Samsung, and this is the 8 gigabyte 128 gigabyte storage version, UFS 3.1 with not expandable storage again on the Pixel. No micro SD cards on both of these guys. And as far as performance goes, they're actually both really competitive when it comes down to performance. They both perform really well, and they're both fast and snappy with no issues. As far as heating up goes, the Pixel definitely tends to heat up more than the Motorola, and just by outside shooting some video, the Pixel did crap out quicker. The Motorola just kept on trucking with shooting video and shooting pictures, while over here on the Pixel it said the device was too hot and the resolution of the video was going to be dumbed down. So the Pixel definitely has more heating issues. While the Snapdragon 888 is an older flagship processor, it's still trucking along just fine, and it is still a very powerful chipset. And plus you get more RAM on the Motorola, 12 gigs compared to just 8 gigs over here on the Pixel. So performance about the same, other than heating up, and they're both very close in that performance area. I think the Motorola just feels a lot snappier with that higher refresh rate display compared to the Pixel. And of course, the display goes, the Pixel's display does not get as bright as the Motorola's does. Now going on over to the cameras, on the Google Pixel 7a, you get a 64 megapixel main sensor with an aperture of f1.9. It does support dual pixel PDAF and does support optical image stabilization as well. You get a 13 megapixel ultra wide with an aperture of f2.2 with a 120 degree field of view on the Pixel 7a. You can shoot all the way up to 4K 60 frames per second on the rear facing camera, so that's fantastic. Front facing camera is going to be your hole punch cutout right smack dab in the middle. 13 megapixel aperture of f2.2, and it does have the option for ultra wide portrait shots and photos as well. And you can record video up to 4K 30 frames per second on the Pixel 7a with that front facing camera. It also supports HDR as well. Going on over to the Motorola Edge 30, you get a 50 megapixel main sensor with an aperture of f1.8. It has multi-directional PDAF and optical image stabilization. You get a 13 megapixel ultra wide with an aperture of f2.2 with a 120 degree field of view as well with autofocus. And then you also get a 2 megapixel depth sensor with an aperture of f2.4. You can record all the way up to 8K 30 frames per second on this rear facing camera, so that's fantastic. If you don't want to do that, it does support 4K 60 on here as well if you want to do that. Your front-facing camera is going to be a 32 megapixel camera with an aperture of f2.5. It also does have that ultra wide for the front-facing camera as well. So if you want to fit a little bit more into the shot, both of these devices do offer that for the front-facing camera. And you can record all the way up to 4K 30 frames per second on that front-facing camera, so no 4K 60 unfortunately. So as far as pictures go and cameras, they're both very close. Of course, the Pixel, you get Google's processing for their photos and video, but I think they're pretty close. The Motorola is more darker and more saturated than the Google Pixel. The Pixel's photos coming in a bit more natural, so depending on what you prefer, if you prefer, you know, more HDR, darker saturated pictures with saturated colors over here on the Motorola, or you want more natural shots, both of these are great point and shoot cameras on here. As far as the Motorola goes, you also get a pro mode over here on the Motorola for picture taking. No pro mode for video, unfortunately. You get your portrait shots, you get your night vision, photo, video, of course, slow motion on the Motorola. You also get dual capture for pictures and videos. If you want to capture pictures using the front and the rear facing cameras, you can do that for video and for photos, so that's fantastic. While over here on the Pixel, there is portrait, long exposure, night shot, you know, all your typical stuff, video, and then your extra modes. So you have more versatility on the Motorola over the Pixel when it comes down to taking a lot of cool looking shots and everything. And you might be seeing some pictures flash on your screen. That way you guys can tell the difference between the two, which one looks better in video and photos. And I think they come really close. Motorola has definitely stepped it up with their cameras, and they're doing a really good job with their processing to make it a little bit closer to a nice stock experience on their Motorola devices. And like I said, the cameras on the Motorola Edge 30 are actually really good, and I'm actually quite pleased with the processing of these cameras. While the Pixel, everyone already knows that the Pixels are going to take really good shots. They're very good point and shoot cameras, and with Google's processing, they're gonna turn out really good. Portrait shots, they go back and forth as far as which one is better. I think the Pixel takes a little bit more better portrait shots, but the Motorola does have that depth sensor to help with portrait, and sometimes they look a little bit better on the Motorola compared to the Pixel. As far as video goes, stabilization on both of these is actually pretty good. The Motorola could be a little better, but it has improved with this last update compared to the Pixel. It has really good stabilization as well, and you're not going to have any issues. Both of these are going to do just fine in the camera department. Both of these devices do have stereo speakers, while the Motorola does support Dolby Atmos, so that's awesome. You get a lot of different settings over here for the Motorola, and the speakers actually sound really good on here. You get your top earpiece doubling as your secondary speaker, and then your bottom firing speaker down here. And then for the Pixel, it also has stereo speakers with the earpiece as one, and the bottom is going to be down here. Now, as far as audio goes, both of these sound really good, so let's go ahead and take a listen to these devices to see which one you think might sound better. Alright, so which one sounded better to you guys, the Motorola Edge 30 or the Pixel 7? 7A. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on which one has the better speakers. Now, as far as Wi-Fi goes, the Pixel 7a does come with Wi-Fi 6E. You get Bluetooth 5.3 and USB Type-C 3.2. While over here on the Motorola Edge, you get Wi-Fi 6E as well, Bluetooth 5.2 and USB Type-C 3.1 on the Motorola Edge. So fantastic right here. No issues with connectivity with Bluetooth. They're actually really good. You could walk away at least 100 feet and not have any disconnections over here using Bluetooth with both of these devices. No issues with Wi-Fi either. No drop in signal or anything for these devices. They both work really well when it comes down to your signal when you're out and about. 5G on both of these. And like I said, the Wi-Fi on here is actually quite strong, and no issues with weak Wi-Fi or anything like that. Now, as far as the battery life goes, the Pixel 7a does come with a 43-8500 milliamp hour battery, does support 20-watt wire charging and about 5 watts, I believe it's 5 or 7 watts wireless charging. So that is fantastic for the Pixel, even though that wireless charging is pretty much non-existent. If you're trying to top this phone off using wireless charging, it ain't gonna go anywhere. That's mainly if you want to charge your device overnight, throw it on a wireless charger, you'll be all right. And just stick with the wired charging on the Pixel. While on the Motorola Edge, you get a 4400 milliamp hour battery, so a little bit higher than the Pixel. You also get 68 watt wired charging on here, but you do not get any wireless charging, so it's kind of a trade-off. You get faster wired charging with the charger included in the box, but you do not get wireless charging. While over here on the Pixel, you do get wireless charging, but the Motorola definitely takes the cake when it comes down to battery and charging. You could charge this from 14% to 50% in about 15 minutes, and from 14% to 100% in about 43 minutes. While over here on the Pixel, it's going to take a little bit over an hour just to get this device fully charged. Now, as far as battery life goes, they're pretty similar, considering the fact that they both pretty much have the same size battery. I think the Motorola is definitely going to be just a little bit, last a little bit longer than the Pixel 7a, but only by a couple hours. These devices are definitely a full day's worth of devices and going on into the night, and then maybe charging it the next day, depending on your usage. A lot of these batteries depend on the usage of the user, whether or not you're taking pictures all day, you're scrolling media, social media, and doing stuff on your phone. Battery life is going to be different amongst everybody, so definitely a full day's worth of usage on both of these into the night, and then maybe charge it the next day. With light usage, you could probably get about a day and a half or 2 days worth of usage on both of these devices. So they're both really nice, as you can see right here. As far as comparing them side by side, you get a difference in design, and like I said earlier, I think the Motorola has definitely stepped up its game when it comes down to their software and their build quality. Of course, you get Motorola's nice gestures on here and personalization on here, to where you get all of these different options for the shake to chop for the flashlight, and then a twist to open up your camera. So it's pretty much a stock Pixel experience, but just with a lot of extra tweaks over here on the Motorola for customization and gestures. While over here on the Pixel, you get your stock Google experience, but not that much customization. On here, you get your wallpapers and styles and your color palettes. While over here on the Motorola, you get your personalization, which again, right here, you get a lot of different options to customize your font, your clocks, your colors, your themes. So Motorola definitely wins when it comes down to software. Sad to say, but the Pixel, you're going to get more timely updates, while the Motorola will offer updates, but they're not going to be as timely as Google. But then as far as lately, Google has been slacking with their updates, so you'll get more timely updates on the Pixel over the Motorola, but you get more features on the Motorola compared to the Pixel 7a. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this spec comparison of the Motorola Edge 30 Fusion and the Google Pixel 7a. Really nice devices. If you want to check them out, they can be found for about $400 right now. Motorola is about $530. Comes $450 comes with the Motorola Buds right here. Google Pixel 7a is about $450. You could probably get it a little bit cheaper as well, around $400, $450. So a little bit cheaper than the Motorola Edge 30 Fusion, but you get a lot better build quality over here compared to the plastic back on the Pixel. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time here on Sick Eric Tech. Peace.